getting a lot of water at the moment.
Yeah, and you got your dam sorted just in time. You were clearing out all that mud, but did you get that before the rain? So has it been serendipitous?
Well, half of it came just before the end, and you know, big machinery working in mud. The two just don't work well together, so it was a bit of a problem. We almost lost one bulldozer, but yeah, it sort of sunk away in the mud. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I appreciated the photo you sent me. It was pretty much you just sit there on your backside in the UK and type into your laptop while I pull this bulldozer out of a pit, and then it all came to life. So yeah, no, my heart went out to you then. But well, actually, as you guys are in winter and cozying down, we approach the end of summer, but actually we've got another sort of burst of heat coming our way. And so I'm drinking lots of things, but one of them is the Arabella Sauvignon 2020, which I opened, and that thing is singing. It's popping. The fruit's coming out like grapefruit and passion fruit, and I think it's one of the better years you've done this Sauvignon. So what was it, a specifically good vintage earlier on this year?
We think so, yes. Yes, we think it just, you know, everything came right, and the grapes came in, you know, we pick it now, with nice and cold, and so when we got the right, so we think it was just right.
Yeah.
Because what Jamie and I are drinking now, before you came on the Zoom, we were complimenting each other how right we got this, and hoping to get it right every year from now on.
Yeah, very good. Well, that's it. If well, it seems like you do enough work in the vineyard, which is pretty much where the wine is made. And Jamie, your warm-up video for this tour, you took us a tour of the vineyard. So I think, yeah, it stands good chance of succeeding going forward. So we are live, and we're live on Facebook, and we're live on Zoom, and this is the final presentation, the final chat hangout that we have as part of the virtual tour. And thank you everyone who's joined it to date. And we couldn't have any greater headline slot than the legend slot, which is Stephen and his sound as a pound son Jamie. And where Arabella has been instrumental in everything that Naked has done, and I think it's been a sort of a symbiotic relationship. We've been worked closely since the very beginning, and so it's brilliant. It's lovely, actually, you know, versus a tour where we're in the same room and, you know, 600 people are coming into one room and the chat is short and snappy. This is a sort of a lounge room effect, that take the opportunity to have a conversation and to receive questions from customers, which are the angels. Please, you'll see the Q&A down below, and have a good chat and a natter. Welcome to everyone. And please just let us know what you're drinking. Hopefully it's Arabella. I'm tasting three bottles of Arabella. But yeah, it's great to kick off this final episode with you guys. And before I do, I wanted to just put into context the importance, or the gravity or the scale of how important you are to Angels and to us at Naked. And thanks to Emma, who you know, Jamie, I wanted to just share. So basically, on average, every single 12 bottle case ordered through Naked contains an Arabella wine. Every single 12 bottle on average will contain Arabella. And those that do select an Arabella wine typically buy 2 bottles of Arabella. So it's basically, it's happy hour, Arabella happy hour in many people's households. I think this might be our 10th or 11th vintage with you guys. And Arabella Merlot is your best rated, which I'm drinking here. And it has averaged 95% buy it again rating. That's that rondel, the red rondel at the top corner. Would you buy it again? Yes or no? 95% is an extremely high score. And to average that across all its vintages is unheard of. And that's pretty much is reflected in the other 13 wines which you have, 5 of which are red, 5 of which are white, 7 are red, and the rosé. And a new wine, which we might mention later on. And then thankfully, when we opened in the US, Naked Wines USA, you guys were the first that we introduced there, and you've just gone straight to the top. So clearly, and maybe you can help share with me and everyone who's watching, clearly you have a touch of magic, there's a style, there's a quality, there's a consistency. And how do you knock out such high quality, wines that fulfill a pleasure so frequently?
Sure.
I think it's a combination of things. It's it's not just one thing that one has to do to get wines consistent. Obviously with any sort of product which is which is as rain or heat, or it gets affected by different things. But there's certain things that we do, whether it's time that you pick, it's how you handle it in the winery, the time of day you pick, the picking at the correct barreling, it's the vineyard management. And we always say wine is made in the vineyard and then just perfected in the winery. It's almost like a chef. If he starts with a good piece of steak, it's a lot easier to make it great. But if he starts with a not a great piece of steak, it's very, very difficult to improve it. And that's the same with wine. There's certain tricks and certain things that we've learned over the years to make the wines the same, and we get our right style, and thanks to all the angels and which help us. When they post their comments, we read them, we listen to them, we tweak a little bit to try and make it so that we try and get it right. So it's very helpful to know what other people are thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. And that does come through in, as we were talking about this Sauvignon, which I'm just going to have a quick top up of. Yeah, I think when you see, when customers can be pretty direct, or if you're willing to take that on board, as you guys have, and you're proficient in listening and reading and replying to all these comments over the years, one can only sort of improve and by engaging with the customers, and that's the fortunate platform that Naked provides. But and I guess so. I mean, it wasn't always that way. I mean, Stephen, we're going back to the beginning, and tell us, how did you start Arabella, and why, and which, and what? So any sort of sense of the core, the nebulous, the beginning of it would be wonderful to hear.
Well, interesting, it was sort of forced upon us. My brother and I used to farm together, and one day he came to us and said he wants to divide and go on his own, which happened, and we divided, and we were able to start. Jamie and I then were partners, and we started this new business. And we were lucky the way the division came, because I think we got, from a viticultural point of view, the prime pieces. For a lot of our red wines made on shale soils, and we specifically chose those shale soils because, not that we're geniuses, but every idiot knows that Burgundy is all shale and makes the best red wines in the world, as does Bordeaux, again, more sandy soils. And we had those parcels of land to choose from and pick from, and also a lot of land with a lot of limestone in it. And it was all helpful to making the sort of wine we thought would be good in the end, So that's how it all started. And the name, of course, came from, because Jamie and I both used to ride, but we both were Irish, so still ride, go around my farm on horseback every day to eat our tummy intake. And we'd rode Arabs.
I'm just going to swing this around there. Maybe you guys can see the picture. Can you see that, right? That picture.
Is that a large frame of horse? But I don't see it so clear.
Yeah, it's
the awards.
No. So let me just see if I'm looking at the right place there. It's my dad and I riding together there.
Oh, I know the picture. Yeah, it's quite difficult to work out. Maybe for others where it's on a bigger screen. Yes, both of you on a horse. No, that's very nice. And the name, sorry, yeah, of Arabella.
Beautiful Arabian. We're fond of Arabian horses. I still am addicted to them. We only have whatever, I have 3, but I try and ride down the farm every day to see that everything's done properly and going well and so on. And it's a lovely way of getting around the farm on Arabian horses, and Arabella, beautiful Arabian.
Fantastic. Oh, that's fantastic. That's lovely. And then, yeah, the artwork on the label it's so distinctive as well. And so actually, it'd be good. You have numerous wines, as I said, 13, I think. We might just throw up and ask everyone who's watching, which is your favorite? It's like asking someone to choose their favorite child, although usually you do have a favorite child, but you can't say that. And so if you could share with us your thoughts, which is your favorite wine? I'm loving the Sauvignon Blanc, but I had a sip of the Merlot as well. And I know those who attended are also drinking the Cabernet. So yes, please get involved, let us know, and we'll be able to share the results of that shortly. So, and as we wait, and so shortly after that, Stephen, you had met Rowan. He came to visit, and how did that interaction go? You know, it was early days for you, and it was early days for Naked.
Well, the rest is history, as they say. I didn't know Rowan Gorman. I didn't know his association with the Virgin Group. I didn't know anything like that. This man just came in and he said he wanted to start an internet wine marketing company. And not knowing anything, you know, used to seeing a bottle of wine in the shop, I thought, this is just the craziest idea I've ever heard in my life. But we had then just started Arabella. We were desperate to sell wine. And this man said he'd buy a half a container upfront and pay us upfront. I was so delighted. I nearly hugged him and got all sorts of heat with him. Anyway, the rest is history. He took his half container of wine, and quite soon became one full one, and quite soon became 2 full ones. And the rest is history. You know, it just grew beyond all our expectations. So it's not that we think we clever marketing people, Rowan did it all for us and saving our bacon in the process. So it was just a very satisfying relationship. Hopefully, as Naked as it's been for us.
Yeah, no, it has been. It was, yeah. We are fortunate for that exchange that you guys had back in the day. And Rowan, if you're watching, thank you from everyone for starting Naked and for introducing us to Arabella, because we're keeping the torch going, I assure you. We've just seen there that it appears that Merlot is your most popular, most loved wine, followed by, I think it was the Pinotage and then Shiraz. So yes, as I said before, 95% rating across all vintages is incredible, and the consistency. And so I guess, Stephen, what, as you said, you say the rest is history, but there's quite a lot of history. What happened next? We did a container, there was a bit of, the volume went up, but how did it change? And because you also sell in South Africa, and tell us about sort of year 3, year 5, and the connection with Angels, anything over those years.
Well, the nice thing as far as I'm concerned is because we had at that stage a feedback from, the voting rights, and we liked and didn't like, and, all those things, and people felt this, it gave us a very good idea of what the consumer liked. And that's quite a rare thing in I think in any industry, to have such direct feedback. And I think that's part of Rowan's brilliance, is to understand, to listen to what the consumer wants. And so we were able to go back to the vineyard and say, no, this is what they like, or yes, that's what they like, and tweak and adjust our winemaking styles to what was obviously popular. And I think it helped me. I've grown up with wine, so I sort of knew more what the people out there want to drink. It's people. It's so easy for a winemaker to become sort of prejudiced towards his own wine and think, oh well, I'm the great winemaker. I know, and I've won this prize in the wine show, and I'm just the best. I'm the greatest. But actually, one needs to listen to what the public want and like. And that was the opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we've all, and other winemakers have benefited from that inspiration from Rowan back in the day and the team. And actually, so that was the year, so Naked founded in 2008. So did you start working with Naked 2009 or 2008, do you recall?
It must have been right at the beginning. So no, they weren't. I think we were one of the very first.
2008, 2000.
Yeah, I can't actually even remember that far back.
Yeah.
I still remember the day that Rowan came to see us, though.
Yeah.
We see a lot of people promise the earth, and you never know who's going to be the one who really understands marketing.
Yeah. No, but it took quite a bit of time for each party to work it out and how it was going to work. But it flows very well now, I guess. And last year you released a 10-year anniversary wine to acknowledge the great history. Can you tell us, Jamie, maybe what went into that wine and that thinking, and what was the inspiration for it? Obviously 10-year anniversary, but any other sort of motives?
Arabella started, I think, 2 years before Naked did. So what we thought we'd do is we'd do an Arabella 10-year anniversary, which coincides with Naked's 10-year. So our 10-year vintage coincided with your 10-year. And that was the thinking behind creating something, of 10 years together, and what we've accomplished together, Naked and Arabella. So we chose four wines. We blended wines that complemented each other, and then it was just blending, getting the right percentages, playing around, getting the right wood, so that there's not one varietal that's got too much wood that overshadows the other varietals. So those are all important things of getting the wines 100%.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it went down a storm, and beautiful packaging and well received. And I guess looking ahead, we have to think: is there, what are there many? There are two elements, I guess. Two things I want to ask is, one is, Stephen, Jamie's running away with it, but as you said at the beginning, it was a joint partnership. You guys started this together in the beginning. So is it Jamie more on winemaking or more on business, and you sort of overseeing the winemaking today, Stephen, or what's the format with you guys?
Well, there's so many overlaps there. I find it up. I think at the beginning, I think, I was more involved with the cellar, and as time's gone by, Jamie's taken over. Jamie's in fact taken over more even the viticulture now. So it's like a symbiotic relationship. We depends how much pressure there's on, and so Jamie takes more. He's taken over completely the staff issues, so I don't worry about that much anymore. And it's lovely to have a son to hand over things. So I'm not complaining.
No. Well,
Yeah, but I think it's also nice for me, I've got a sounding board. I've always got that sounding board to with someone who's got so much experience. I think that's it's invaluable that the sounding board that one's got from your own father. It's pretty special.
It is special. Nice one. It is, and we will continue to see that over the following vintages, and but the quality, the consistency, and many people are asking. We have questions coming in on the chat room, on Facebook, and on Zoom's question or Q&A. And one question we talked about the consistency of quality, but you're also a consistency of price point, you know, and like Pinotage, big love, and a question from Alan Mason on how do you manage to sustain that price with such quality? Own vineyards, efficiencies, or how do you uphold that?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's definitely. I don't think you'd be able to do it with if you try to buy in grapes, especially if you went 2 years back where there was a massive the price shot up because of the drought, and those are just years that, you know, we're lucky we do all our own grapes, and without that we wouldn't be able to hold the price. And it's efficiencies, it's you know, just doing things, not wasting on stupid things, I think.
No, I agree. And even when Eamon and I were down there with you last, Jamie, we were having a coffee and we were talking about, well, efficiencies, and yeah, there were some things that we agreed upon, and which was in terms of sampling and so on. And I admire your business efficiencies, and it has worked out for everybody. So that's brilliant. Well, what I would love to do just now, guys, is take a quick break from this discussion with you and show Angels a couple of the wines that I've been tasting today, past 2 days, and so let me just show you, and then we'll come back and pick up this chat. So if I can just remind everyone, so lights good, okay. Yeah, as some of you will know, I've been tasting wines at home. Samples come to me from Jamie, which I received last week, and we were tasting, and then and I taste them here and share. So I wanted to show you, this is a new wine from Dom Maxwell. They're just tank samples. So Dom Maxwell, this is the working title is Premium Riesling. So it's basically posh Riesling. And this is for the Fine Wine Club. So I asked him back in March, would he have a look at, you know, just pushing the boundaries and making something even greater level. And he's worked on it already. So they were just going into harvest. They picked, he fermented, and already we can have a quick look at his sample. So that will probably go in the Fine Wine Club case, possibly, I think it's March 2021. I might be wrong, something like that. And we had a Fine Wine Club session yesterday, I think. It's tour. When tour is on, you forget what day of the week it is. And then the following, I'm going to have to just lower the camera here so you see them all together. And the light isn't great, but those are 4 wines that all form part of one series. It is a series of 5. I'm missing a bottle. This is called The Capture. So to be very transparent, these are wines that none of our naked winemakers have made. They weren't made via the naked funding model. And the reason we have them, and the reason why you're going to have them, they'll be on the site in about 2 to 3 weeks. One might appear next week, but then you're sort of 2 to 3 weeks. It is because during lockdown, we had such a surge of, demand, and we made sure that we served our Angels first, and then there was lots more coming in, but we made sure we served you guys first. And you drank us dry of wine pretty much, and we could see you continuing to drink us dry of wine. And actually, Jamie, I remember you and I were having a little sort of offshoot of a relationship. We were on the phone to each other so many times in the early days. It was like March 20th and day after day just talking, okay, how are we going to do this? And we just moved. You guys responded so well to move wine from South Africa up to us. A couple of delays at port, but we got through it. And thanks to you and your team and the work, we managed to keep Arabella going through pretty much all of lockdown. But there were wines, New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, Argentinian Malbec, Chilean Merlot from our existing winemakers that just flew out the door. And the next and fresh vintage is due to land in about 3 weeks' time. And we just couldn't leave you guys without. So we fulfilled the gap with contacts I had or people I had, and we just made a few phone calls. So we've got some good quality juice, a good pricing, but it is not via the naked model. So we call it the capture. We basically had to go out and capture as much good stuff from friends or contacts as we could. So those are coming soon. There's this, Sauvignon Blanc, New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, and a Zin. Oh, the Zin is very good, Californian Zin. So you'll see those on site. And then finally, this is, again, they're just tank samples, no label. This is from Paolo Sechetto sample. It's Prosecco Rosé. So we do Spumante Brut, which is Spumante Rosé, but that is not actually officially Prosecco, nor is the Pinot Grigio Blush or the Frizzante. So the Prosecco Consejador, or the legal body that sort of controls things, is only starting now to reuse Glera, the grape of Prosecco, in Prosecco Rosé, and so to make Prosecco Rosé an official title. So anything we've been selling before is from Paolo, who makes Prosecco, but you can't call it Prosecco. And now this is Glera grape with a bit of Pinot Noir to give it the color. And it is absolutely delicious. It's really fine. Like the Spumante is delicious, but this has sort of a finesse and elegance and quality to it. So this should be with us in February. He's going to, I was speaking to him today on the phone, and he's picking at the moment. This was a sample, a trial from last year before it was sort of officiated, let's say. And I need you guys, I'd be very grateful if anyone who's watching now, the poll, a poll will come up on the screen. And if you can tell me, does that sound good? Should we go for it? What can I tell Paolo? What can we plan for? Is it a Prosecco or a Prosecco? Your thoughts and contributions and considerations would be greatly appreciated. So while you guys are sharing your thoughts on that, I just want to go back into a little bit more. Oh, well, what I can do at this point, I guess, is release the news. Stephen and Jamie, the guys, I'm sure everyone will be interested to know, but we have a new wine coming from Arabella. Can you tell us? And I can tell everyone it's going to be in our Christmas case, the deluxe case, which goes out mid-November, pretty much. So that's pretty exciting for most people to have a brand new wine from Arabella. Tell us, Jamie, what's it about?
Yeah, so this is, we're calling it the Winemaker's Reserve.
Yeah.
And it's obviously to try and show off our a blend that we've come up with. We've chosen specific tanks, specific blocks of vineyards, so that we can almost show the angels something else going forward, something of reserve quality. And
Jamie, sorry to interrupt you, my friend. There's a couple of comments just coming in about the sound. So would you mind either speaking up or moving in, or shout?
Yeah. Okay, so it's a Winemaker's Reserve, and we've chosen certain blocks. We've chosen certain tanks. Played around with wood, all to showcase this wine that we're going to be launching quite soon into the UK.
Awesome, fantastic. So that should arrive with us. Yeah, well, it'll be in the deluxe Christmas case, along with many other new wines and wines that you know and love. But all of us at Naked who've been sort of aware of it and planning it and working with it for a long time are very excited about it's the dawn of arrival of this wine. And there was a question also on Facebook about people love your Pink Panacea, the rosé. I remember first tasting that with you, Jamie. In fact, I think you gave me a bottle to take back from South Africa in 2014, whenever the last Rugby World Cup was, 2015. And you said, just taste this and take it back with you. And then I put it into my baggage and got to the airport and I was checking it in. They're like, no, you're overweight, you can't do it. So I had to take it out and drink it out of like a paper cup just to sample it in the airport. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, it's deep pink, but it's pretty good. Yeah, that's good. So then we kept the conversation going from there. So it's funny how these things arise. But there was a question is, are you thinking of doing any other rosé? Because I guess this one is sort of in that, it's medium to deeper pink, sort of salmon pink, but there's a lighter style as well. Have you ever thought about another rosé style?
We hadn't actually, but not. Yeah, I mean, we'd be very interested in possibly doing something like that.
Yeah, cool. I mean, we could. The great thing about the Naked community is of winemakers is sharing techniques and styles and so on. And so, you know, we've got guys and girls in the south of France, Provence and so on, and then in New Zealand and Australia who, yeah, they, you know, it's just very good how they sort of work together and sort of, you know, influence each other's styles and how it can be shared. So yeah, we can take, that's a great question. We can take it away. We have the results on screen of the Prosecco question. I'll start by saying 18% of you said no, thank you. So that's valid and it is accepted. But however, the vast majority, 82%, it says it's a Prosecco go. So I will get on the phone to Paolo tomorrow and I'll say, yeah, make it happen. Those are strong enough figures for us and convincing to make it work. And so now you're in winter lockdown, or not, well, you're not in lockdown. Actually, well, rather, I think it's probably important to quickly discuss. South Africa had quite a strict lockdown, and each country has responded differently and understandably, but the sale of alcohol was prohibited in South Africa. And I know you guys had quite a good distribution in South Africa. So how did, well, it can't have influenced you in any way positive, but can you just tell us about that and what you had to do to manage that?
Yeah, I think the first week that started, so the beginning of, well, very end of March, and we weren't allowed to sell any alcohol, export or locally. And then it opened up to exports a week later or 2 weeks later. A week later, closed for exports again. And eventually it opened up again for South Africa to be able to sell in South Africa for a month. And then it closed down again. So it's been very confusing and difficult to try and, you know, all the different laws and all the rules coming in and they keep changing. But this is happening everywhere in the world. I mean, the UK, you know, you guys you've got your own rules and your own regulations sort of swapping and changing and it keeps changing. And those are just times I think we just got to roll with the punches at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and did it influence how your, you know, business ran? Was there quite a loss or rather did the business Naked make up for that quite a bit?
Yeah, I think Emma was asking me, you know, where's, when you guys asked us, do you have more wine for us? And we said, actually, yes, we do. And that's purely because South Africa is closed. And one or two other countries closed. And so we just kind of moved that wine from that country to the UK. And we were very lucky and very fortunate that everything has kind of worked out for us. But it has been very, very tricky at times.
No, I can imagine. Yes. Well, that was fortuitous that people in the UK needed and wanted your wine, and we were able to sort of support you guys at the same time while you supported us. Stephen, you mentioned earlier about, I asked about the name of Arabella and where it came from. as the format of this works, people are trickling in at different times, and so maybe they missed it. And I wonder if you would just share with us again where the name Arabella came from. Those who've heard it before, you can have a toilet break now or another glass of wine.
All right, it goes like this. My sport, related with Jamie's sport, is called endurance riding. You actually ride your horse over a long distance. And it's very strictly controlled. You're not allowed to ride too fast because the horse pulse will go up and so on. So it's a very nice sport. It's over 50 miles in one day. So, but you do this mostly on Arab breed of horse. And I was very keen on this sport for many years. And I still have a few Arabians. And because I like Arab horse, we had to find a new name. I thought, hell, we got these beautiful Arabians that run out right outside the tasting room. Arabella, I thought that was quite a good name, and it seems to have worked for us.
Fantastic.
And
on the subject of horses, Jamie, in your warm-up video, you showed us a number of horses on the property or around the property. So how many horses do you have? What's your daily interaction with horses, Stephen? Do you ride every day, or what's life with horses about?
Yeah, so my aunt also breeds on the estate here. She breeds thoroughbred horses, and those are the horses. Those are some of the horses that I was also showing in the video.
So you've got a new foal there, did we see? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to show, but the foal kept running away, but just sort of hiding behind its mother. So.
No, that's fair. And so how much do you guys ride, like weekly, daily, or how frequently is it?
Well, you probably ride every day,
a
couple of times.
I ride at least once a day, mostly twice a day, to do my rounds. I go around the farm on horseback. So I feel I see more, I'm in a better position. I go up and down the vineyard rows and all that. Jamie's his task on the farm is something else, but I'm involved with that part of the viticulture and the running of the thing, and I find a horse very suitable for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, the position where you have a greater overview of everything that's happening. And what are you generally, what are you looking for, Stephen? Now it's winter, there's no leaves on the vines, there's no vines pretty much, like there's in growth. So today, the kind of thing that you're observing today versus in spring or summer?
Right now, the new vines are just starting to bud. So I'm looking to see Chardonnay the earliest, it's just started to bud. So I'm looking to see if there's any disease, and the suckering, which is the breaking away of shoots you don't want, it's being done properly and all that. So they can get up and down the rows quickly and check that. And the new vines that have been planted in this year, they've got to be trellised. So the trellising has to be put in properly, and the wires, the check wires hooked in properly. And so all those sort of things. And a little while, not long ago, the pruning was being done. So you go up and down and check the pruners are doing a good job. And, as you go on now, the pruning, and then the growth will be there, and you've got to check on the suckering again. And, it's an ongoing.
Yeah. Absolutely. That does chronicle the year of the vine, let's say, and everything that you're going to have to watch out for, because there are many pitfalls, I think, in just as you said earlier, Jamie, the wine is made in the vineyard, and the one thing you cannot let drop is every stage along the way. And that's what you can control, and that's before Mother Nature decides it's not going to go that way this year. And so all you can do is your very, very best. And then we live, it's farming, it's nature. So that's to be expected. Yeah. And I just want to acknowledge for viewers that are tuning in is that occasionally, guys, we have some fantastic sound from you guys, and then it drops to another wave, but it isn't your pitch, it isn't your voice. I think it's the connection. So you're nice and loud sometimes, and then you're less loud. But I think everyone is seeing the same thing, so we won't stress about it too much. We'll just enjoy it while we have the loud sound. There is a question, if I can throw it at either of you, from Tony Parkinson. If you could make wine from any grape that isn't widely grown in South Africa, what grape would you choose and why?
I choose Merlot.
That you said that
It isn't grown. So I guess you could say not the common international varietals, which you guys do so well, and Pinotage, which is not common internationally, it's specific to South Africa, pretty much. So if there was another grape variety, Grenache, or then we can go into the long list of Italians or Greeks.
Yeah. So that would be excluding Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, all those, Sauvignon Blanc, all those.
Yes.
I think, oh, I go for Grenache.
Grenache is a good, that sounds good. Yeah. And Grenache, why would you go with Grenache?
Because it's dual purpose. You can do pink, beautiful rosé blush, and you can make a lovely red wine, drinking wine.
And it's nice, and it's a very fruity, it's got a lot of fruit to it, easy drinking, it's got a lot of flavor.
No, that sounds good. And also something that we've seen in the Southern Rhone, and maybe also in even Swartland, perhaps in South Africa, but it has a tendency that the vines, the quality of the grape improves or changes its profile with age, but those vines, they produce some really concentrated and great old vine bottles of wine. That's a great selection. So I just want to scroll through a few more. And Prakash, I think you've asked us a question every evening, and thank you for your attendance every night. So the question is, despite satisfying what the angels want, do you find it enables you to express your style of winemaking or wine discovery? So I guess the question is, do you perhaps still feel you have artistic freedom, that it's still a passion, although you're taking on board the feedback from angels? Do you still feel you have that sort of drive and liberty of winemaking?
I think even more so.
Yes.
Not less so. I think more so, because you got, you questioned just now about creating a light styled or colored blush wine. Something new. You can explore that. All the conversations you and I have had over the years, even with this new reserve wine coming in this year, it's a talk from 2 years ago that we started this conversation. It's and we've evolved it and discussed it and played around with ideas. So yes, definitely, but also taking into consideration what the end customer wants, which is important. So what do we want to create? What does the end customer also want? Let's find a happy balance.
And there's something further that I like to add is, every farm has sites that are, like we've got shale soils in a lot of our areas that are very suited to certain varieties. And then we'll always keep those areas for Pinotage or whatever, for Merlot. And that's, we find very suitable. So, you'd always look at it that way.
Indeed. And many viewers will have picked up, regularly, but specifically for this case, the Merlot and the Cabernet. So do you guys have those wines to hand? I do, and I can speak with them, but it'd be great to have a quick talk through those. Do you have a bottle of Merlot handy?
Yeah, we're actually drinking it.
Yeah, nice. So actually, that's my cab, and this is my that's my. So, can you just give everyone an idea of? I mean, we do a quick, tasting through it, what you see in it, and then also just sort of what it was always meant to be. And then I think people can. We're all virtual. We can sort of imbibe and imbue it the way that you're describing it to us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this Merlot's, it's and especially from where the whole planning comes. I mean, again, I'm going to go back to the vineyards. It's where we plant Merlot compared to Cabernet. The soil types that we choose for Merlot is different to the soil types we're choosing for Cabernet. So that you're getting a very different wine, but it enhances that varietal. And for the Cab, you're planting it on more shale soils. The Merlot, you're planting on more sort of lime soils. So these are.
How does that taste then? So what is the sensation when someone puts this wine in their mouth? And it is very relevant to talk about the soil and its influence. But do they get, is it broader on the palate? Is it fresher? Is it a lighter wine?
Well, it enhances the fruit of the, it brings out the fruit, it brings out the color, it brings out, also the slope is it's slightly more south facing. So Merlot likes a little bit more, likes it to be a bit cooler. It doesn't like it to be too hot, whereas Cabernet likes more hot weather. So you've got to adapt the winemaking, well, the vineyards to suit the varietal.
Absolutely. Okay, that makes sense. So there's the variety has a potential, and then you, viticulturist, grape grower, and winemaker, it is bestowed to you to discover where is the best place to bring out to maximize the characteristics of this fantastic grape Merlot. Okay, that makes sense. And then what, if there was one fruit or two fruit flavors or characteristics, what would you say you taste in the Arabella Merlot, which is pretty, now we can say world famous because it's in the USA as well, and a high rating. So how would you describe it? Stephen, it'd be great to hear your thoughts on it.
I think it's got a lot of black fruit, like plums and prunes and that sort of thing. Nice, full flavors, but nothing sharp, nothing tannic about it. Smooth tannins, very, very well rounded. And that's what we find works for Merlot. We don't want a sharp, thin Merlot. We want a full, round wine. And this, I think, gives that.
Fantastic. And Joe Parker, who's one of the founders, and he came to visit you guys. He gives me these briefs and saying, Ray, we want Merlot, and we want it to be exactly what you just described there, Stephen. And then I go forth and I try and find another Merlot, but as Sinead O'Connor, no relation, would say, nothing compares to you and your Merlot. You've nailed it, and I'm always working on it, Joe, I promise. But it's consistent, it's easy, it's approachable, and actually, whether it's a hot sunny day because the fruit is quite bright, or as we now approach our winter, if you're just having a sort of a challenging day, it is that sort of warm bear hug at the end of the day. Drink responsibly, but it is just that sort of, it has a sort of a safety and a reassurance, and it's reliable, and I guess that it's testament to its success. So, but that is a skill, I have to say, from my role traveling the world and tasting lots of wines. In effect, it's very easy to make a 20 pound bottle of wine, because you just throw, low yield, new French oak, all the posh kit, you invest in it, and it tastes fantastic. You go, yeah, it tastes fantastic. Yeah, well, it costs you 20 quid. It's like, okay, but to make a wine like this at this price point, in my opinion, really is the art. That is the real skill of winemaking, to have this consistency, as many people have asked on here. How do you make it so consistent? And that really, I think, is what makes you guys, the extension of your fame, and we've got many, many years to go. So God willing, you'll keep it going. But the other wine I wanted to talk about is the Cabernet. You may not have it open, or you may have already smashed it and drank it, and that's why you're both half hammered on this call. Not really. But have you got a Cabernet to hand?
Oh, well, yeah, obviously.
Right. It'd be good just to have a quick chat about that, because I think although people have voted in numbers with regards Merlot first, then I think Pinotage, then Shiraz, and I stopped there. Cabernet was sort of put in this tour case. So it'd be good just to get an understanding of that, because those two, they're from originally, let's say, or recognized from coming from Bordeaux region, but they work very good in relation with one another. So again, Stephen, everyone would love to hear you talk us through the Cabernet, please.
Well, to me, Cabernet has to have a minty character. It's not like the plums and this and the nice soft fruit that you expect from Merlot. It's got to have more mintiness to it. And if you pick this one's nose and sniff it, I get a strong minty flavor, and on the palate it comes through as well. The color is excellent, it's fresh and it's clean and it's bright. So I think this is, as a Cabernet from South Africa, not from France, but from South Africa, should be.
No, absolutely. It has, and it has a freshness. If anyone's drinking it right now, you taste it, you get the nice pure cassis flavor, but then it has a refreshing. So you go back for more. It's a wine where you keep going back, as I often throw out either on these Zoom calls or with the guys I work with or winemakers I taste with. It might be what you might call a pizza wine, where it's a wine that just it brings happiness, but it's a Moorish, not a Moorish, but a Moorish wine. It just, it's inviting to take in more. Well, fantastic. And we've touched on the Pinotage. Let me just see if I can find any more questions. We've got about 5 minutes left, guys. In the chat room, there's just much praise and appreciation. There was also comments, Stephen, about when you joined us on tour, you were, despite being one of the last to bed, you were one of the first up in the morning and out for a run and putting all the other winemakers to shame. So are you still maintaining such a rigid, sporty lifestyle?
No. Nowadays, I have my horse run underneath me.
Yeah, exactly. They are the legs beneath your feet.
No, I know my limitations.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But Jamie, are you still doing those crazy cycles? 300.
Yeah, I put my bike to rest for a little bit and taken up trail running. So
trail running.
Trail running, yeah. So I've had to kind of learn how to run, which is pretty interesting. I mean, everyone thinks they can just run, but I mean, once you get past sort of 10 Ks, you quickly realize that you can't run.
Yeah. It is. My brother just messaged me today saying he's just starting running, and I'm very happy for him, for the euphoria, the adrenaline that you will get. 5K is plenty, and that buzz you get when you finish and you come in, you have a shower, and then you're Jean-Claude Van Damme, which is sort of a 1980s reference, but that feeling, and it's so good for your brain and for your body, but it's so good for your brain, and that you have a great start to the day. But well, I think guys, we will let you go to bed. You're 1 hour ahead of us. You might stay up all night reminiscing on the past 10, 11, 12 years of Arabella and the relationship you've had with Naked. But those who've attended, I think it's probably one of our most attended session of tour. And so we really appreciate you guys staying up and giving us your time. And it's very nice just to slow down and chat. It's always been hectic. It's always been busy, you know, in daily life. But Jamie, you, I, Emma, we always get it done. That's the most important, so people get it over the line. And Stephen, it's so good to have your company with us and your influence over the wines. And as everyone has appreciated tonight, the quality and the consistency is there. Yeah, it's been lovely to have you guys on. And I would just also like to wrap up this tour by thanking everyone who's attended all of the sessions or any of the sessions, but especially a shout out to our tour manager, Laura, who has pulled the whole thing together. She had the vision back in probably May, and she was just driven. She had the vision, the foresight to realize that people would want to be together still today, and she was completely right. And she's surrounded by a great team, Dominique and Kate and everyone on the team who have been supporting online. So thank you, Naked. Also for us, we go on tour, and when we go on tour, we hang out with other staff members that we don't get to usually frequent. I remember sharing a room with Stuart Harold in IT back in the old days, and he's my coffee buddy. And so tour means a lot to Naked. I think it means a lot to Angels. So thank you for attending. Bravo, Naked, for putting it together. Stephen and Jamie, thank you for your time. It's so cool to hang out with you guys. Put on another coat and finish the wines. Yeah.
We're three bottles to finish still.
Highlights of the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup. That'll do it. Yeah. Champions, we salute you. Thank you for all the great wine and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. All the best.
Lovely to be with you.
Keep well. Cheers.